yesterday will still be taken off the board. Just trying to get rid of those really aggressive junglers here. Take those away from Spirit. So the Camille, Rengar, and Nidalee now all off the table.
A lot of high damage top lane and jungle combinations in the current meta because initiation, tank support is what happens there. So Alistar largely going to have to shoulder that. So given that initiation is going to be moved away from top side, you see a lot more carries. And Barrispan, cool new icon comes through. It's another deft favorite. Still going to be the Tristana left open. That's kind of the remaining hyper carry there. But Vayne,
I asked you about this at the beginning of the broadcast. I said, do you think we're going to see the Vayne coming through? But looks like it might have been just a bit of a tease there by Deft. Now the long hover over the Caitlyn, but actually it's going to flip over to the Tristana instead in the end.
Yeah, Tristana is kind of the hyper carry that makes the most sense here. Has more of the late game scaling than the Caitlyn. Vayne in Korea, speaking to Korean AD carries, they don't think it's viable. We saw one game in the LPL from Abel, previously Zanki Susu, the player that Faker accused of scripting on Twitch way back when. It didn't work out there. Very weak laning phase. And laning phase strength is so important in this meta because of how fast turrets are pushed down. Just going to go with the Tristana, waiting for Afrika to round out their composition. When it comes to power picks, they have plenty on the side of Afrika. We're seeing one of the strongest Hogmore focus draws so far, but Keen usually isn't the sort of player to play a secondary tank. So the top lane pick is going to be Gnar and the pseudo tank in that way, and we're just waiting for the jungle pick. That's the last here by Afrika.
Alright, there we go. So Zach is here going to round out that Afrika roster. Burrow will be trying his hand there mid lane with the Sand Soldiers, but you were talking about it. The Veigar back in the meta. You're talking about how powerful it is at the moment, and we will see it locked in for Pawn.
If we know one thing about the new runes, the spellbook cannot stay sealed. It has to stay open at all times because unsealed spellbook is by far the most common rune choice we've had so far in the LCK. Will be taken by Pawn. The big advantage here, you can start with the heal, you can change over situationally all the time. Insurance for the laning phase, but Afrika Freaks have an insanely strong 5v5 team comp. 3 tanks, very long range engage. We saw yesterday MVP had no idea how to face a composition very similar to this from the side of Kongnu Monster. Need to get those wards onto the camps of Zac. Zac, if you don't know how to play against him, just like Evelyn way back when, impossible to deal with. I expect more from KT Rolster, but it's the first day of the season. There's a lot of things changing. Now we match up in the top side. A lot to be hyped about here, Achilles.
All right, well, interesting champion selections here across the board. Veigar really kind of seals the deal for me here. I want to see how Pawn is going to excel with that one. Up against Kuro, a player who has always kind of been like an afterthought because he was always defeated by Faker, but in the 2017 season rather, he really started showing up, being aggressive and commanding his own lane.
You could tell he was a bit shook by all the comments that, oh, worst play on the ROX Tigers, got carried by his team. Afrika Freaks Kuro did a lot of great play, was joint MVP of summer season.
Yeah. Well, let's see if he can start that off again here. Day 1 at OGN of the LCK. Afrika versus KT Rolster finally ready to get into game 1. So let's go ahead and do just that. Missed it all, Bobs with the missed them. Cheers. The sounds of Summoner's Rift. For you casters to our right. It's good to be back. It's good to be in the game finally.
And the game is much changed from the last time you were casting Achilles with the introduction of runes reforged and a lot of new options and choices left open to the players. Right now on screen we don't have full rune information, but I will imagine that we will get that as the game goes on. A lot to discuss. You can see a lot of stopwatches Achilles. We've got 4 on the side of KT, and then multiple here also on the side of Afrika Freaks. Stopwatch, definitely League of Stopwatch is one of the subtitles of the season as so far it has developed. Team comp-wise, I really like what Afrika have done. Unnoticed by my glee in there being a Hogmore hand and Tom Kench, I'm hearing that will be separated a lot the majority of the season, but also if you think about in terms of lanes, while Veigar can lane against Azir, he certainly won't have lane presence. That's going to be Azir pushing in a plenty. Gnar against Gangplank is a winning pushing lane for Gnar. And then you have a jungler that needs coverage, a jungler that needs help in the Zac, who's going to get a pretty free laning, or free jungling phase, I should say, and not have to gank for lane. So they push push well. They're 5v5 team fight. Both of them are strong. I have the slight advantage to Afrika, but if they fall behind, then of course it goes away. There's a lot to like about Afrika, but KT, they've got some good options for themselves as the game goes on, and yep, there's some runes. Got them on our screen here.
Got them popped in.
5 inspiration tree choices by KT. Inspiration has been so far dominant in terms of rune choice. Back at All-Star, it was sorcery back in the everyone's poking days, but now it is all about the inspiration. As I'm looking on the side of Afrika Freaks, and we have 4 out of 5. So we have 9 out of 10 players are actually in the inspiration tree as a primary or secondary.
Seems pretty good, I have to say. So, going to be the big one to look for here. Go ahead and take a look at the match history.
Not great reading
Definitely
for the side of Afrika. They win one game, as they often do, but from there they were taken down by KT. That was some of them, that was Afrika win the first game, sometimes it was Afrika win the second game, but never actually win a set.
Always the game 3, though. That was the big thing for Afrika.
Their game
2-0s almost never came through.
And their game 1s also were the fearsome thing. They had 3 perfect games in game 1s of a series. They were certainly our best game 1 team in all of the LCK. One small thing
kind of fall apart.
Small thing we should mention was the fake leash at level 1 by Kramer and Tucson. They were spotted auto-attacking onto the red buff, but we knew that Zach was on a blue side start, not common, so Zach doesn't need the blue buff for clear, but he's trying to shield the Zach. If you can get Zach through the early levels, you know, previous to level 4, he has to use his gap closer to clear, so he's very easy to invade because he is almost always on cooldown if you catch him clearing a camp. Any sort of safety you can provide for your Zach is a very incentivized thing for the side of Afrika Freaks.
Doing their best at the moment. We haven't seen any invasions coming through from that side. Score just working his way through the jungle.
Yes, we can talk.
Gets his first items to get picked up here, but now roaming over, will get the ward into the brush.
So let's talk about runes and the effect the game has had. I mentioned already hyper carry tank support, bot lane meta. Well, guess what? Everyone's got a relic shield. Before it was the 80 carries and sometimes supports. Now everyone's got one, and everyone is sharing gold. Big incentivizer is the overshield that you get for the 80 carry, but also because overheal has become a core rune, and actually it's between Deft and Kramer looking through pro builds and some of the other solo queue trackers for who the first person was. When it was the relic shield start, that was Kramer last year, but bringing it back into the runes reforged meta, one of Kramer or Deft going for the overheal plus the shield that comes through from the quest on the Targon's Brace. Means that you just have so much overhealing, and you think, okay, where did the Jhin meta go? Where did the Poke meta go? The Misfortune support? Well, guess what? When people have 2 maximum HP shields, and they have so much sustain through runes, they get through the laning phase with complete footwork as well, and they don't get poked down at Achilles. So that's why tank supports, hyper carries are preferred to what we saw at All-Star.
Poke down here. You can get a bit of damage there on a Smeb. Scorch waiting in the wings, and now Spirit getting ready to leap in. Slingshot drawn back, but he's going to go ahead. Better of it. He's going to leap in. See any of score at all on the map. Try to play that one safe. So he's going to be okay to keep farming there in the top lane with that Nard. Nearly has the level 6. See that first back there for Smeb to come through.
Jump in as the Zac of the counter gun comes through from the Kazakhs with been pretty severe penalties, so now it's going to be more clearing. See our Gillette sponsorship in the bottom right. That's new also.
The best man he can get. I'm not going to sing the song.
Sell out. Someone has to sing.
I mean, you know, I do happen to own one. One of the one on the right, actually.
There you go. What's your review for it, Achilles?
You know, it shaves my face.
All right, 10 out of 10.
So, you know, as
Would
far
shave
as,
again.
as far as performing its function, it does a pretty good job. So I will say that I'm quite happy with it.
I feel like the reliability to kind of follow that train of thought is on Afrika's comp. I think in the late game it's very strong. Okay, it's immigration.
Gonna go ahead and push him straight back. Smeb taking quite a bit of damage. Misses the wallop. Nice sidestep. Smeb keeps himself safe. Keeps that flash up. Start chugging away that potion, however.
I want to mention in this featured matchup that OGN highlighted of these 2 top lane carries, Keen is on the side of the coin that he's most known for. He's known for picking lane dominance. He's known for counter-picking his opponent. He has the counter-pick here in game 1. This matchup will tell us a bit. He does have lane supremacy, but this is the way he usually plays, and certainly will play in solo queue. I'm excited when we see the flip side of the coin, if we do see Smeb with the counter-pick, how Keen can do kind of on the more farm side. Not many players have the mindset of both a top lane carry and a top lane tank. I would say that Smeb straddles the line better than any other player I can remember.
so than Cube.
More so, yes.
I'd say it's probably really close.
I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Cube. I'm saying when it comes to actually being able to play both styles, it's a Cube's kind of 35% carry, 65% tank, whereas Smeb is more around the 50-50, can play both just as good.
That's fair. Just getting your insight.
That's sure. I mean, you're also looking for those clickbait titles, like Papa Smithy thinks SKT is garbage, which I did not say.
He said that they're not going to be in the top 4.
I said that they're closer to 3 or 4 than 1 or 2 than they've ever been before.
Turns out when you translate something into a language and then back into the previous language, things get blurred a little bit.
There's going to be an awkward clip of this commentary, isn't there?
They're not going to take the explanation. It's just going to be that initial part.
I mean, if you cast 5 days a week, I'm sure some creative things can be made of your commentary. That's something I'm going to have to embrace this year, is so far the farming phase we can embrace. Asked a lot of questions about what people were looking for, because we've established some of the 2018 meta trends. I feel like there's something that's not talked about, is that some runes have made certain champions a lot stronger than they were previously without direct balance changes. Like Veigar, for example, had this struggle where whatever summoner spells he took, there was a way to abuse it. If he took heal, well, you just teleport around and Veigar's kind of slowly waddling bot lane. If he took teleport, very gankable. Unsealed Spellbook makes certain champions, top lane carries that can take Ignite, like Kennen and Vlad, for example, but also Veigar, so much stronger, because you can start picking for lane. You start with heal and no gimmick, level 2 gank is likely to kill you, and then you can have the appropriate summoner for the situation, teleport or ghost, as the game goes on. And that's so much extra power that balance numbers and damage numbers, and
we're going to find Spirit. Quite a bit of damage coming through. The Let's Bounce will come out, pushes him a bit closer there to Kuro. We're knocked down to half HP, but he's going to be alright. Pawn not able to react in time. No kills going to come through, not even a pop on that passive. Spirit going to be fine. Just go ahead and hand off this blue buff.
But just to finish the point, it's the sort of thing that just a rune change changed the balance level of a champion pretty significantly, because now they can straddle the line. They didn't need more damage or any change to abilities. It's purely having options. That means that Vlad takes Ignite and suddenly he's turret diving, or he's got the Ignite on someone turret diving him and can turn around again, but also can be a teamfight terror. So the Ignite top lane meta never went away in solo queue, but now it actually comes out in competitive play because you have the flexibility of going for the appropriate summoner for the situation.
Smeb still not having the easiest of times here. Counter pick there for Kane doing some wonders as he finds himself 20 CS up at the moment here. The 9.5 minute mark. Went for the Ninja Tabi to start things off, so not going to be seeing any of the lane domination items yet. The Frozen Mallet, the Black Cleaver. Still plenty of time for that to happen.
Korn has varied his build further. When he was playing in Kesper Cup, I believe it was the Hextech into the Negatron Cloak, and then eventually got a Proto Belt. He's gone for very fast GP10 here. Frostfang start, another new thing in the meta. Frostfang junglers for the AP junglers, but also Frostfang mid laners if you're going to upgrade early into the full GP10 AP item. Frostfang's Claim, then you can go for it. You no longer have the penalty that where killing minions doesn't allow you to pick up stacks if you finish the full item. So he's going to still pick up the early magic resist, the early Negatron. Going to go for the GP10, just be cashed up early. Doesn't mean also though Achilles is going for GP10, he's going for scaling, so it's more and more of an invitation for someone like Kuro to push up. But if you just let the Veigar have a farm phase and don't take turrets, don't make proactive plays around the map, you're giving Veigar a free lane, which 40-minute Veigar is very common to anyone who's played League of Legends, how powerful that can be.
It starts coming through, so still going to be pretty lull as far as this game is concerned. No real action coming through outside of Swarm finding Spirit for that brief moment. Just taking this one nice and slowly. Not sure Kuro and Pawn are both relatively happy with that. The scaling on both sides is quite crazy.
But there's one little wrinkle we haven't discussed. Kuro is playing the champion. Hold the point.
Hold that one. Yeah, the elastic slingshot coming through there from Spirit, but he's not going to be able to get the grabs. It seems like Mana and Death will be able to back off. So go ahead and continue on about your wrinkle.
Kuro is playing Azir, the champion he is most famous on failing on multiple times. Master E mid, dunking his Azir, so many different champions.
That was the Master E, wasn't it?
In his 1,000 kills video, they actually OG KT and cheekily ask him about the fact that he could never actually master the Azir. That's kind of a sub-story here, is that, you know, everyone has to play Azir. Azir is right at the top of the mid lane power ranking, but Kuro has had those significant problems in the past on his mastery of this particular champion.
So I guess 2017 was the year of him becoming more aggressive and, you know, self-efficient. This is the year of him expanding his champion pool and mastering those ones that have previously been out of his control.
OG Legion, I'll say this. He did step up in a massive way in 2017, but to me, him solidifying his legacy in 2017 is less of a feat than if he can solidify his command of Azir.
Doesn't matter how good your record is and if you win lane, as long as the Azir is solid, that's all we need.
Kuro mastering Azir will literally be his career magnum opus.
So sad. You'd probably be pretty upset if you heard me say that. But who knows? Maybe he can get both. Maybe he can have success with the Azir and success overall, and take Afrika to Worlds.
A possibility, honestly. Could have happened even last year with how good Afrika's run was towards the end of the year. But it's a different year this year. We're still learning about power levels, seeing SK Telecom in the next round. It'll be very interesting. Let's take stock of the inaction so far in the 13 minutes here. Given that we said that Afrika had the big pushing advantage, the fact that KT have lost no structures or been able to farm is advantage KT. I like the late game power of Afrika in team fights, but KT are no slouches either.
It's going to be the event horizon coming down, score, jumping straight in, stopwatch there for Kuro to try to keep himself alive. He flashes to the side, jumps over, but that is just going to be Pawn scooping up the kill for Morty-Cult Burst to go ahead and take him out. First blood goes over to KT.
And KT taking the first blood against the script's pretty big for them. Achilles is keen to chase into Smeb, not going to find too much love there. The score is around as well.
It's the wallop, but that's about it. Smeb's still going to be all right.
In first blood win rates, highest in the league last year was KT Rolster. KT Rolster's early game domination, known to everyone in 2017.
Yeah, first blood win rate there, 81.3%, I believe that just said, for KT. Pretty significant. And now score, looking for that second blood to come through as he's waiting around the back. Obviously ultimate, he's put his way forward, but yep, he's got that ward in the thrush. Knows better. Keeps himself nice and safe.
The fun thing to track would be that all Afrika's pushing lanes won them was uninterrupted jungling for Zac. They will have Zac free farmed is back in the mid lane.
Yet again getting jumped on, he's got the long dash and take himself out to safety this time around. No R available for pawns, you can't just press that through.
Will it be enough for them to have a powerful front line? Afrika haven't taken on the early game as expected, much the same way as Vladimir and King Zone yesterday, as we see more trading bot side.
Aggressive, look at the stun there on the 2-synth, but still a pretty tanky Tom Kench getting those heals back from the relic shield charges, so he is going to be quite all right as things turns out. Didn't really get much damage in onto Kramer either. It's going to be a bit of a struggle here for KT to try to get ahead of his bottom lane, just given how much protection is available, and mainly because of the Tom Kench for that Cogmaw.
Back to farming. Or now with enough AP to start actually pushing in the face of Azir is pretty big shift in the way that the bot lane meta works, so the mid lane meta works, I should say. No visits to the first Drake, going to be very late first Drake take here as the blue buff gets passed over for the second time this game. Afrika finally starting to at least cement their defensive vision, but offensive vision for Zac and Co has been kind of eluding them so far.
Even with the Mountain Drake, hasn't been alluring enough to draw anyone's attention there. We'll be waiting on that one for a bit longer. Still we see it taken and reveal what the second one is going to be.
So much scaling in this game. More scaling goes without being said. Gangplank Vhagar is about the most scaling you can get out of Soul Lanes. He's got GP10 for extra scaling, and this is kind of the part where, if you're, say, Spirit, you look at the game clock and you're like, wait, this game is starting to spiral out in terms of scaling as it goes further and further on. Suddenly we see the top lane, Kane doesn't have lane control over Gangplank like you would heavily expect and how it is in the early game. The window of the most dominance is gone for Afrika Freaks. It's starting to equalize. KT feel pretty happy about that.
Jump comes through, but Score's going to hop away. We'll just bring it backhand slightly, but not nearly close enough for anyone else to get on top of him. And Kramer not really going to be offering up any CC, so Kha'Zix will just go ahead and be able to walk away for free. Doesn't even have to use the flash.
More inaction means more time for scaling. Afrika Freaks, they still have great one-item power spikes. Azir has his naturals too. Begins to Rage Blade with no interruption. outside, but if you just keep laning Achilles, early power doesn't matter if the early game is too
I would actually really like to see the gold figures right now, but Smeb and Keenan in particular, because he's got the Klepto, he's got the parlay coming through, so there's a lot of secret farming that's going on here for Smeb that's allowed him to get that Trinity Force completed already. So, might actually find himself in an advantage over Keenan, who is now getting jumped on. Score coming around the side.
It's done.
It's done. That's going to be the Let's Bounce. Route ready to come through, but no, actually doesn't even need it. Just the elastic slingshot. He's trying to preempt there for Spirit, but doesn't even need it. They just pop him and score. But a bit too aggressive. Gets left on. Goes down.
Timing wasn't great there. The rest of his team was rotating, but Score kind of had a rush of blood to the head. Went very early. They may still pick up the first break, the first turret of the game when the next minion wave comes in. But actually, I think he's back. He might just teleport bot side, try to equalize. The race for the first turret is on right now.
Well, he's going to be coming right back up here to the top lane. Seems like he thinks he can defend this. Push coming through for Kramer and Tucson. Wave coming through as well. See that cannonball barrage just going to throw him down to the bottom side. Spirit yet again. Going to be jumping in. Elastic slingshot comes through, looking for the grab. Gets the pull there on the bottom. Can't quite bring him back in. Let's bounce. Not going to be catching anything. Live for the moment with Smeb is on the back side here with Pawn Crow's coming in. Emperor's Divide comes through, pushes them out, and Smeb gets forced to use the flash, but now he's getting jumped on. The Sand Soldiers just chipping away at him. Has the stopwatch, but nowhere else left to go, and Kuro will find the kill. 2-1 here for Afrika, and Kramer is just getting a bit of damage down onto that tier 2 turret. The game now suddenly blown wide open for the Afrika Freaks as they take the lead.
So much greed for KT Rolster. First score going in just before his tank support and his AD carry came in. They could have just got the free turret, but they wanted more. They wanted the Gnar and then the turret. They get neither of those things. Kramer doesn't have to move. He just sits bot lane, stacks up his Ginsu Rageblade, and powers down first brick. And now it's going to take extra minutes for Deft, who will, you imagine, eventually pick up this turret. I do see the Abyssal Voyage being used to gap close Kramer closer. Deft's backing. There's going to be no turret here. And even though KT made the first rotation, we're in position to get a lead. They mismanage it horribly. An advantage of Afrika Freaks.
Yep. Putting Kuro a bit further ahead here. He's already been doing a decent job keeping his head above the water as far as the CS is concerned, but now has that kill under his belt. Natras to complete it. See where he wants to go from there. Leandries is something that's been quite big for the Azir as of late. Too shocking to see that one come through. You can see Kramer just firing away, getting a couple hits there on the depth. They're just chunking him down, and suddenly he's at half HP.
This is what happens when you start getting the second attack speed out. Soon to be the wits end onto the Cogmore. As the Cogmore laning phase gets crazy. Because Keen used teleport, Mountain Drake should be a pretty free objective for KT. Not the one they wanted, but one they could look towards. Seems like they're going to pile people into mid lane, get deep vision, and then consider between mid lane turret dive there, and the Mountain Drake. But no priority on Drake so far by KT.
Ford still in that Dragon Pit though for Afrika, so KT wants to go for it. Spot that one out. Siege onto the top. Tier 1 turret getting ready to come through. The wave clears. It's still going to be quite strong from the side of KT. Kramer just has to go ahead and heal back, wait for the next minion wave to come through. But he finds himself at a very nice advantage here. 220 to 192 CS over Deft.
Spent more time in lane. Deft had to walk all the way to top side, and they botched the play, so he was sharing CS while everyone was trying to push.
I said that, but Kramer just missed like 3 CS in a row.
You know, he'll be fine with that if he can just take this turret, which so far so good.
Trying to fire away. There for Mana, not going to connect, and he's getting quite a bit of damage in. Mana does have the Glacial Fissure available by the look of things, but it seems like they're just going to go ahead, peel back, and surrender this. So second turn of the game, yet again going over to the Afrika Freaks. Keen now getting jumped on. He has this Mega Gnar for a little bit longer. And Ball Barrage is going to come down. He's going to get the transformation. Has a red buff to help Kite, but he's just stuck in underneath this turret. He's going to get taken down. So KT finally able to put a second kill on the board for themselves as it goes over to Smeb.
A good waiting game for them. You notice they held on to Cannon Barrage, didn't use it for top, waited for the mini Gnar to pop out, and then that's when they chose the dive. No threat of the Gnar into the turret. Getting the objective is the bigger point here, given that Afrika already took a second turret in the top side. It does feel like the objective trades largely have been going the way of Afrika, but that was the first feel-good moment after the inactivity that favored KT was kind of completely handed over when they misplayed around top side.
KT's keeping it within 2,000 gold at the moment, so not a terrible spot to be in. Now Drake getting ready to come through, but that's going to be Abyssal Voyage there from Tucson and Kramer. Spirit and Kuro coming in from the top. Score's going to jump away with the flash in, and Spirit's going to find him. He goes down. Now Smeb, nowhere to run, nowhere to go. He's going to get taken out as Kramer finds himself the kill and the red buff on the Cogmall. And just like that, Afrika yet again advancing several steps forward. Depth looks like he will be able to take down that tier 1 turret in the top lane, but that's about it.
Everyone face checks the event horizon there and gets slowed, but there's all a slow.
They gotta do this. Yes, they are.
Yeah, the jungler and the top laner are dead. 20 seconds is a long time till the teleport's up. I don't know if Pawn can salvage. This is difficult for KT.
It's only been up for a couple minutes here, Pawn. Can he get the magic W? Throws it in. Not going to be able to connect, and that's going to be the Baron going over 22 minutes to the Afrika Freaks, who are now starting to run away with this game. I was just singing KT praises, keeping things close, and just like that, it has all unraveled.
This early in the season, when it comes to scale, when it comes to team comp, there's so many things to consider. Because the control ward was down, Kramer and Tusa made the educated opinion that it was going to be them on Drake. This was great play by Spirit in particular. Got the first Q and then flashed into the second. Kuro confirming the second kill as well. And we wondered, would it be enough for Afrika against double scaling solo lanes to just have Zac get his levels for free? Plays like that, the power of Zac, if we don't see deep wards from KT. We saw it yesterday from Raze, we're seeing it today from Spirit, disrespecting the immense initiation of Zac at your own peril.
Now, just a shift over here into the mid lane for the Afrika Freak spot lane. Kramer and Tucson posturing up, looking to knock down that final tier 1 turret when they can. They have these Baron-empowered minions, and just given the items that Depth has at the moment, it will take them a little bit to try to bust through these Baron-empowered minions. Still take that much longer. 2 items completed for him with the Infinity Edge and the Static Shiv. Has another Seal waiting in the inventory. It just doesn't have that hard-hitting power that you want to see from a Tristana at the moment.
Still coming together, like you say, the double seal items completion is when things start to ratchet another level, but enough armor onto Spirit, Keen, and Tucson, there won't be that much to talk about. Even in that regard, till the last Whisper is complete, so a lot of items, expensive build. Look at the gold lead here. It's actually 1,400 gold lead for Kramer, largely through objectives and also some kills. Speaking of objectives, mid lane turret.
Yeah, turret gonna go ahead and get knocked down. Don't even need the room to help him take that one out. Just get chunked out. That's 3 turrets now over to the side of Afrika, who just continue to press the advantage. They still have Baron buff for a considerable amount of time. It's about halfway expired at the moment. Working their way in towards those tier 2 turrets will be a bit more difficult. They already have the bottom side weakened up, but they can find themselves in that position. That's maybe a little bit challenging to set up for themselves, so might just have to be happy with breaking all of the outer turrets.
I mean, it's start, right? They can start cementing their vision. Their defensive vision can now be at the river, and they can start pushing the vision further. Anywhere they can have multiple control wards around an objective like Baron, and Zac can load up and go in at the time of his choosing without being seen. Things look good this side of Afrika Freaks, and the crazy thing for KT fans is they were honestly, with their scaling, in a great spot until Score got too excited, wanted to go for a turret dive before his team was ready. You think about the setup around top lane outer turret, 4 of them show up, they cannon barrage the minion wave down bot, you get the first turret, you get another nice little lead. They got too excited diving in, and then from there, the cascading effect has been the past 6-7 minutes of the game, where Afrika has had full control.
A little bit left on that Baron here at the moment. It doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get anything else done, but when they say that, the push is coming through into that mid lane. Kramer just trying to get in range of the turret.
You can always poke a little bit, because Tom Ken's just chilling next to him. For now, no turret damage done, but Kuro's having a fun time. Top side.
There's another wave coming through.
Baron about 15 seconds left, thanks to that new observer overlay we have. That's new. 2018
that one ready to go. Not too much longer, which means that we'll likely be seeing Kuro backing out of his top lane. See the roam up there from Mata, just hovering in the jungle, seeing if he needs to go forward. Trying to take out Kuro. For now, this gives a slight reprieve to Kramer, who moves forward. It's a bit of damage down onto that turret. Takes it to about 66% HP. Missile Voyage coming through. Now looking for Smeb down to the bottom lane. When I go ahead, flash forward, Cannonball Barrage comes through. Smeb tries to keep himself alive. So he'll be able to do just that. So, Yomusko's played Flash enough to keep him safe.
Well, credit KT rolls to with as they do have good defensive vision as much as they can, given they are getting pushed in 3 lanes. For now, it's not easy for Spirit to say, camp the red side jungle and find a big initiation. So, even though, like we said in Pick Ban, there is big pushing advantage, pressure advantages if Afrika can split the map. They can't do so 100% safely because the vision control from KT with Mata on the squad, never something you can undersell, has stopped Afrika from getting those extra 2 auto attacks in every scenario, which often add up to turrets rolling earlier than expected.
Now it's going to slow down a little bit. Baron buff's gone.
necessary. Pushing the bot side, trying to recreate what they were doing earlier, but their vision has fallen away, so it's harder for Freaka Freaks to do what they were pulling up very easily 3 minutes ago. It's always a multi-step process to put down those wards, and they time out, and you kind of have to recall and revamp. So KT have been good at defensive vision, not something they really had to do much in 2017, given they were go hard or go home really as a approach to the game. They were about their own early game strength. Just focusing here, we're kind of waiting for the next breaking point. Infernal Drake could represent that, spawning in a minute 30, Baron around the same time. Even the fact there's parity on the spawns can mean cross-map hijinks, but we'll have to wait and see.
Certainly just stacking up there is Pawn 455 AP at the moment, I do believe. What I just saw there is debt. Threatens very slightly.
That's low AP build as well. Kilios going for just the Frost Queen's Claim, Void Staff, and Sludge Rod to represent AP, such as the name is with a passive. They tried this before, Smeb doesn't have flash this time.
And take two. Barrage going to come down yet again. Boulder just barely clips him. Meantime, Spirit taking a little bit of damage. That's just going to try to give him the run around here.
But he's fast. That's his
way up, yeah.
Doesn't know which way to go.
Through, and seems like he's going to be okay. Welcoming arms of Mata there. Ready to scoop him up and keep him safe. Just pushing forward. Now the elastic slingshot over the wall comes through from Spirit, but he's going to miss the grab. A little bit of damage there. On the explosive satchel. I'll just go ahead and peel back. And it seems like we're just going to have one big old stalemate in the room.
Stalemate will only be fleeting at Kilios. 35 seconds to Infernal, 10 seconds to Baron. Sometimes the timers are so important because you see the Yakety Sax style escape from Smeb and you have to go, wait, what does this mean for vision? What does this mean for the two big objectives? And then be focused on is still burst damage, even though it's a 0-2 Cosmos. Here's one of those objectives. They're setting up for the Baron here, KT, but it seems like it's not going to be too serious.
Smeb back to base does have the teleport available, so just trying to throw down something. They have a scuttle crab with a little bit more of a that semi-permanent vision. Now Kramer is just more than happy to keep soaking up these mini waves here in mid lane. Closer and closer towards that switch turret, finally knock it down.
Some of the vision starting to dissipate for KT. Only one ward left in the evolved Sightstone item for Mata, so he'll want to recall soon. But it doesn't look like anyone's going to be taking advantage of that just yet. Get back to that kind of question of scaling, which is so difficult to understand. I'd say compositioning like a Freaka, but in terms of individual champions, can't look past Veigar, Gangplank, and to a lesser extent, Tristana. Kind of hard to equate Tristana and Cogmore. The extra escape maybe giving Tristana the advantage. Spirit's just trying to be there for wave clear and has to flash.
Yeah, flashes out of that event horizon. The Devour was there from Tucson, but kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Throws that one down. Another event horizon comes through. Does stun him up. He's going to get popped. Can they finish him out, though? You can see Freaka pushing forward. Kramer actually going very far forward, chunking out Smeb, almost takes him down. Does force back the members of KT and keeps them from taking out the Zac. The turret, however, more than likely still going to fall. As you see them trying to get in range here. Just a couple shots from Death would finish it off, but actually the wave clear from a Freaka is quite strong. They get rid of those minions. Catch them from the horizon in onto Kramer. Get devoured, takes him out to safety.
Oh, the power of this event horizon. Achilles forced to flash, forced to stopwatch, and teleport onto the Bloblet just to keep the Zac alive. They're going to lose the turret inevitably as well.
That's what I'm saying. Just let the turret go at this rate. You guys are almost getting popped by this Veigar, so just let that one fall. 3-3 as far as the turrets are concerned. Still a lead for a Freaka. But yeah, defending something with so little HP, not going to be worth the consistent picks that were just about coming through there for long.
Freaka know there's been at least a recall from Braum. They suspect Veigar as well. They're going for the rush on Baron. Certainly there's not going to be 5 members of KT here.
Smeb and Score at the moment, the ones coming through. Keen nearly has that Megador ready to go. Chunks out Score already, taking him down to half HP. As the transformation comes through, but crucially, a Freaka are going to be backing off.
Remember, moments like this is when we have to remind you that Marin is not on this team. He was clearly their shot caller back in 2017. They talked about it in interviews a lot. These close calls where you see 2 recalls and like, do we have the Baron damage? Should we rush it down? Can we win the game if we don't take Baron at 30 minutes? These are the sort of things where the veteran calls can really be big. So we have to watch with a microscope some of those high pressure calls because someone new is in the calling booth on the side of the Freaka.
Everyone's just going to go ahead and peel back away from the Baron. This cheeky little play. Freaka wanted to attempt, but for now will abandon that. Pearl Drake has been sitting on the Rift for a long time as well. We have it Contagious Glory on the Kog'Maw. What will he think of next?
I mean, really the only use here, remember you can only get the movement speed going forward. So this is for getting more W hits.
I mean, we saw him front lining to defend the mid turret, so it seems like he is perfectly happy with just charging down anybody on the side.
Worth noting that you have, it's one of those situations where you have to sit back and think what else does it give you, which is health, mana, and armor, which are all relevant stats, but it is the active I think maybe deprioritized here, but I guess if you see the event horizon down from Vhagar, you can start popping the damage, that's for sure.
I'm going in! But yeah, I don't know about this one. We'll see how it's going to play out. Kramer has always been somebody who goes for very bizarre builds.
Yes.
You know, even
you told me stories of your LMS casting with his Wits End Lucian.
Yes. Wits End Lucian, Black Cleaver Ezreal.
And you know, some of them get thrown out. Others like the Relic Shield, you know, shape a meta. So you have to say that he has a decent hit record on some of them. I'm going to have to wait for some unpacking on the Righteous Glory. I'm going to wait to see the first use of it.
Yeah, I need to be made a believer of this one. For now, it's just bizarre. I won't call it bad or stupid. I'll just say it's bizarre.
Spirit hit with Event Horizon, one rotation of spells.
Now the stun coming through from the Braum. He gets chunked out. Another Devour there for Juice and having to take him out to safety. See Kramer starting to push forward. He's looking for that damage, but doesn't really find much of it.
Tucson has to take Cleanse with his Unsealed Spellbook just to get out of Event Horizon. It's kind of a sub for the QSS that was pretty common. See, Infernal down to around 2,000, releases for a second.
Spirit ready to leap in. Can he get this one? No, it's not going to happen. Score does get the takeaway. Little Drake over to KT, finally able to find a dragon for themselves here at the 34-minute mark. And that's going to be it. There's going to be 2 dragons and then Elder. Not many stacks to benefit either side.
KT's know a Cleanse is down from Tucson. They know they can fish with the Event Horizon. Spirit can be one-shot here.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and stun up. Braum's coming through, and he is just going to vanish Pawn yet again. Hits are fine success.
And that's why I had to say it. Even as full tank, full HP Zach, you can be one-shot 35 minutes into the game with this Vhagar build. So cleanly taken out. His Bloodlets were popped earlier. KT going to start looking at the Baron. There is a ward there, importantly, for Afrikas. They will not fully fall for this. They are able to be more defensive than if that vision was not present.
Through there on a Keen. Depth, he is getting obliterated. Kuro looking for the finish. Can't quite find it. He's blocked off by that Event Horizon. Seems like the Tristana will be safe for now, but with him being taken so low, KT can't even try to make the play for this Baron anymore, even with Spirit dead. Everybody going to have to go their separate ways yet again, just continuing this dance back and forth up and down the river.
And I'm sure some people are thinking back to expectations when I was talking about how I loved Afrikas 5v5 comps. Notice that when we're seeing KT get these leads, it's not 5v5 Achilles, it's getting vision control, the Marta special, and then killing one person instantly. That is something that undeniably a late game Vhagar comp can do. They are not interested in fighting in areas like you see the ARAM style in the middle of mid lane. They are playing around vision because they know that is their way to actually get single picks. And if you can kill anyone guaranteed 5v4, then those objectives can come through.
Yeah. The one that they want, the one that they would love to pop would be Kramer.
I mean, even Spirit, right? No, Smite is still going to be relevant.
Oh, sure.
Because it's such a high damage, mid and AD carry, you can't 5v4 against the Baron damage and Azir and Kog'Maw. So, I mean, 2 would be lovely, but that's not as much what Vhagar trades. It's more about the singles.
Yeah. Go for 1.
This game has been, you know, super delayed. We're about 1 hour delayed to get it started. It's been a very interesting one, very slow start, but now there's so much talk about new runes, new styles, new team comps that on the surface have scaling advantages, but then you have to unpack, and there are ways they can be played. KT from behind, I guess that's a small thing that should be mentioned. KT from behind, looking impressive. KT from behind in 2017, apart from Kesper Cup, in the regular seasons, were kind of woeful from behind. So this is a new dimension